It's Refresh Friday. I'm here with my husband Juan, who is a certified financial planner and one of our Unity of the Oaks members, so he probably looks familiar to you all. Yay! So you're getting little hearts. Yay! So Refresh Friday is all about 15 minutes of refreshing our thoughts at the end of the week. Because you know what? Sometimes we just need a thought reset, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, we do. So for 15 minutes, we're just going to give you some new thoughts around today, money. So a lot of people, as we just mentioned, have a lot of concerns, worries, fears, anxieties around money, especially right now because of the pandemic and losing jobs, or worried about their savings, or worried about their investments, worried about how am I going to make money. So just in general, people are worried and concerned.
They are very worried, and it really comes down to, there's kind of two sides to this issue with money and with the fear around money. One is the mindset. One is the attitude you have toward money, the relationship you have with money, no matter how that started and has evolved as you've gotten older. You got to look at that. And then you have the practical side, which is actually dealing with the dollars and cents and what, and that has to do more with, just getting financially aware, financial education. What are the best things I should be doing right now? So you have to deal with both. You have to deal with both the mindset, and then you have to do the practical as well.
Well, I know we've done that.
We have done that.
We've done that a lot.
It took us a long time to get to where we are, but
yes.
I know, speaking for myself, I mean, there were many years where I had a terrible relationship with money. I mean, it was like we were in debt and we just couldn't get out of it, and it was like, oh my gosh, it just felt like a never-ending thing. And I mean, I was trying to reflect back as to what really caused it to change, and I can't pinpoint one exact moment, but we just reached a point where we're just like, no more. The scarcity, I think you're going to get into a little bit of scarcity. The scarcity mindset is so dangerous because you have it without even realizing it. In other words, you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I didn't get good sleep. Or, at the end of the day, oh, I didn't have time, I didn't have enough of this, or I didn't have enough of that. And that is subconscious, that scarcity mindset. And that can bleed over into your feelings about money. I don't have enough money. I don't get enough, work. My commissions aren't high enough. I'm not selling enough real estate, whatever it is. And you have to really address that. And you have to confront it head on. And it's not going to be easy. I'm telling you, this is not simple work. But you have to do it every day. And you have to eventually just decide and say to yourself, no more. I am done with this mindset. The fact is, you look out the window, there's an abundant world out there, there's plenty for everybody. The fact that you haven't been accessing that plenty probably has to do partially with what you've been thinking, and partially with maybe some financial education and awareness. But you just have to say, no more, I'm done with this thinking, and now I'm going to start adopting a mindset of abundance, a mindset of prosperity. Gratitude is a big part of it as well. And maybe even, I'm not saying deny that you're feeling this way, but you have to acknowledge it. You have to say, okay, I understand that this is how I've been feeling, this is how I've been thinking. But then you also maybe have to forgive yourself. So maybe there's some forgiveness work there for the fact that you may have made financial mistakes in the past, for the fact that you may have had this kind of thinking. And then you have to sort of say, okay, I'm cutting that cord and I'm moving on, and now I'm thinking of gratitude. Now I'm thinking abundance, even if it doesn't look that way. Even if your bank account,
when it doesn't look that way.
That's the hardest part. When your bank account doesn't look that way, you still have to say, okay, I know this is what it looks like right now, but I am adopting this mindset of abundance and of gratitude, and I'm thankful. I'm grateful for what I have. That starts the process, and then it snowballs over time.
Pema Chodron in her book, When Things Fall Apart, actually shares a Tibetan word, which right now, because it's Tibetan, I can't think of exactly how to say it, but the meaning of it basically is totally fed up, to the point where, like what you're saying, you have to completely give up like all of those old thoughts and ways of being, and to say, you know what, I'm done with this. Meaning I'm totally fed up with how I've been thinking, how I've been acting, how I've been behaving. In terms of, right now we're talking about money. So it's just about saying, okay, I'm all done with this way of thinking, and now I'm going to start a new way of thinking.
Ooh, that's exactly right. That's what I just said.
Exactly. I love when that happens. So I also wanted to bring up, here's Brene Brown. You see I have like notes and Daring Greatly. So Brene Brown, author, researcher, all about vulnerability. And vulnerability meaning like, our emotional exposure basically. So when it comes to money, we don't want to be emotionally exposed, right? Because in our society, it just seems that like if you don't have enough money, that can be, you don't want to expose that, right? Because in our culture, it's that if you don't have a certain number in your bank account or can't afford to buy the latest iPhone or whatever it is, then that somehow relates to failure. So we're relating these material things to who we are.
It can be, it can produce feelings of shame or of guilt and, all these negative feelings, which add to that whole, again, that scarcity mindset.
Exactly. So Brene Brown actually has a whole chapter in Daring Greatly about scarcity, and she goes right into mindset, and she says that worrying about scarcity is our culture's version of post-traumatic stress. It happens when we've been through too much, which we've all been through right now. So when we're in stressful times, we tend to go back into those old thought patterns and ways of behaving that we think have served us in the past, but that's how we kind of cope, is those it's a post-traumatic stress syndrome, right?
Yeah.
So right now, especially, it's important to really, like you said, look at what are all the underlying feelings here so that I can address them. What's the old story that I'm telling myself that there's not going to be enough? And maybe I've inherited the story because I know, it's families pass stories down.
Right.
And especially if you or someone else has lived through, the Great Depression or something like that, where now you've been raised that there's not enough.
Right.
When really we know there's enough.
And that post-traumatic stress piece, that leads to potentially making poor financial choices. In other words, so if you don't address that, then those choices might continue down the road, and you're trying to stop that. So it's about taking a step back and looking at that stress piece that you're talking about.
Absolutely. So, and she quotes this book, basically what you're saying. It's by Lynn Twist, The Soul of Money, saying scarcity is the great lie. Ooh. So that's basically what you were saying. And, the never enough problem. And it thrives in a culture where everyone is hyper aware of lack. So again, it's about changing our thoughts from a lack mindset to an abundant mindset. And so how can we do that? So one would be a gratitude list.
Yeah, gratitude lists are great.
One is to, I think, probably not just think about, but because I like concrete, like I write it down and I list it, and now I've taken an action. And so writing down all the different places that you see abundance, especially right now. Yeah. How else? What else do you think?
I'd say set small goals. Dave Ramsey talks about baby steps, and so setting a small goal for yourself. Let's say you don't have a savings account. Okay, well, one goal would be open a savings account and put $10 in it. And that's an accomplishment. It really is. And just those little, small, very incremental changes can then really help with the mindset part of it. And now you're starting to feel, okay, I'm making progress. Looking at your expenses. That's a huge one, is tracking your expenses. If you don't track them now, a lot of people just avoid looking at it and, knowing about it. But you really have to look at it. And especially now with the pandemic going on, you really have to be very mindful of your cash. And that's part of your relationship with money. If you're ignoring it, if you're avoiding it, that's like avoiding, it's again, it's
so that's where you want to ask yourself why.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the underlying feeling here? What do I not want to see?
Right.
What do I not want to be faced with?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because then that's when really you should be working with probably a therapist, I'm going to say, because it's Mental Health Month also. So working with a therapist to really get down into those feelings, or do a lot of journaling, or reach out to a spiritual counselor too, but get some self-help and support around that.
Yeah, no, exactly. If bills start piling up and you're not addressing them and you're kind of tucking them over on the side, credit card bills, that's the worst thing you could do, both financially and also mentally. And so you want to just confront it head on. And especially now with the pandemic going on, you can probably call a credit card company and say, listen, I can't make this month's payment. Are there any options? Call and be proactive about it instead of avoiding it. And again, that gives you power, that gives you confidence, and even if it's if it's just temporary, that's going to help you sort of take those small baby steps forward.
Yeah. And I think another thing that really helped us too was, well, I'm going to say two things. One, since money is energy, where am I putting my energy? So in other words, when we look back at every place that we had spent money, I remember this is like 10 years ago, and I thought, I'm investing all my money into Target, but not my money into church, which for us is our spiritual nourishment. So to me, it was like, whoa, okay, do I want to put my energy, my spiritual bank, am I banking it into Target, which I love Target, don't get me wrong. But again, where do I want to put my energetic being?
Well, you're touching on something that Deepak Chopra talks about. What's her name? Rowena Gaines talks about, and that is the law of, and Catherine Ponder, the law of giving and receiving. And so one of the most powerful things you can do when you're feeling lack and scarcity is to give your money away, even if it's a little amount.
Right.
Just make a donation, spread that money out. You're then opening a channel for it to come back to you magnified. And so that's a really powerful tool. That a lot of people don't feel like, I can't give anything away. Well, if
give
you
$5, give $2,
whatever it is,
yeah.
you know, if you just do that, that really helps.
Yes, and I think the other thing too that really helped us was that we would always still in the budget put a fun line item, right? So fun money. And I know it used to be like $50 basically for both of us, so $25 each. Then it grows as your income grows, so maybe it's $50 each. But I think also having, some fun money, so you don't feel like you're deprived, because then again, that gets into that cycle, the scarcity mindset.
Right. I posted a piece on my Instagram about touching on that, which is, if you have to cut back, don't deprive yourself. So, if you... yes, if you're looking at your expenses saying, gosh, I really need to cut back. I've got 3 streaming services. Okay, keep one. Keep Netflix and or keep Disney Plus. That's just an example, but yeah, exactly. I read a lot about people who are saying, well, you should cut back on your, don't go to Starbucks anymore. Like, well, if Starbucks brings you enjoyment, then maybe go once a week instead of going 3 times a week. In other words, don't completely cut back, because then that also, it could lead to feelings of resentment about the decisions you're making, and then you don't want that either.
Right. Exactly. So thank you to Juan. Thank you for your expertise today. Thank you for watching and joining and sharing. Remember to share this video. And make sure you join us on Sunday at 10 a.m. for Unity of the Oaks 7-week series on When Things Fall Apart, based on Pima Chodron's book of the same name. It can also be found on their Facebook page and website, unityoftheoaks.org. And if you were inspired by today's message, please consider a gift to Unity of the Oaks, again at unityoftheoaks.org. And I will be back here for your lunchtime spiritual nourishment Wednesdays, Fridays at 12:30. And again, you can see me at church on Sunday at 10 a.m. live or afterwards. So again, thank you for joining me. Thank you to Juan. Look, I wore green today too.
Very
for
nice.
Prosperity.
Very nice.
I thought you'd like that. I feel like we're ready for a date.
We might be.
Yeah, look, we're all dressed up for a date. Quarantine date.
And they can follow me on Financially Zen.
Yes, sorry, I meant to say that. I got distracted by my prosperity green.
On Instagram at financially_zen.
Financially Zen. Very good. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
We'll be going on a quarantine date.